Hello Southie family, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, welcome to the channel. 25th and South. My name is Cece and today I am doing an apartment renovation inspired by the boho style. Boho short for bohemian, of course, and this is kind of a style that was sort of created during maybe the 1960s. Think of hippies, that kind of vibe. It's really dreamy, a lot of color, very sort of flowy. It looks messy, but it just to me feels super cozy, and it is sort of my own personal style. And as far as interiors, fashion wise, I tend to dress a little bit more prep, a little bit more relaxed than this, but I love the idea of a home feeling really cozy and cuddly and colorful and interesting. Just a space where you just feel like you are just bathed in warmth and coziness, blankets everywhere, just a fun time. And so that is essentially what this apartment's for. This apartment is a 3-bedroom apartment, and I made it for 4 Sims. 5 Sims, a mom, a dad, a teenage daughter, and 2 twin boy children. And it is in the Arts District in the Harkham house. I think originally the Jang family is in this house, so if you're familiar with city living and you know the Jang family, you know their house is it is a burst of color. In my opinion, it's a bit tacky color, so I thought maybe taking this apartment and doing this sort of the same thing but a different vibe. This wall right here is probably my favorite part of the house. It's a huge library wall where I put a lot of plants and things on it, and sort of give you the backstory of the family. Nathan is the dad, and I really haven't come up with a career for him. I feel like he's probably a professor, but like a history professor or an English professor, something in the arts. And then his wife, Braylee, is an artist, and she works from home. And then they have their teenage daughter, Yolanda, who's a bit of a prep, a bit of opposite of her parents, who are very hippie, very bohemian. And then there are the 2 twin boys, Axel, who's kind of a science nerd, and Art, who's actually super into art, like his mom. And so the style of this apartment, especially the shared spaces, like the living room, the kitchen, and the dining room, are really Briley's style the most. She's very artistic. She's very really the only words I can describe her as is kind of hippie. Like, we have this art gallery wall above the television. She's very visual, she's very colorful, and I just knew that she would want a space where her family would feel just bathed in coziness. Now, I will say there was a lot of indecisiveness going on in this build, so a lot of stuff was cut out just because I couldn't decide what I wanted to do. I did know that in the shared living space, I wanted it to have a flow, but I definitely wanted the spaces to feel separate as possible. Just kind of thinking in the family dynamics, that didn't necessarily translate perfectly, but I think it translated pretty well. Right now I'm working on Yolanda's bedroom, and as you can see, she doesn't have any windows, and her room is actually the smallest. And I figured because she's a teenager, she would understand the boys have to have a bigger bedroom. And maybe when this apartment was first put together, this room was not, considered a bedroom or not sold as a bedroom. This room might have been sold as an office space. But I really wanted it to feel, even though her room is really small compared to everyone else's room, I still wanted to feel as if her style just sort of bled through. I wanted it to feel like she's very comfortable in here and very cozy in here, and this is kind of her escape from her baby brothers, and Kind of in my mind, I imagine that Yolanda is Miss Popular, kind of an airhead a little bit of a ditz at times, but in kind of a super sweet way. She's definitely not a mean girl, but she's kind of like really into fashion and just really into clothes and things like that. But I really loved putting this room together. Now, I was kind of talking with some of my Twitter friends about boho style over on one of my Twitter friends, Carrisa Sims, Twitch channel, and she was doing a build this past weekend where I suggested that she try the boho style, and she talked about how it kind of feels really cluttered, which, you know, I can agree. My apartment is sort of boho style, but I try to keep it as minimal as possible just to give you that kind of boho vibe without making the space feel super cluttered. But definitely, if you're someone who's super into your knickknacks and your, you know, things that you might pick up traveling, you probably gravitate more towards a boho sort of eclectic style. And so, yeah, Yolanda's room is kind of packed full with everything that she loves. And I guarantee you when she grows up and moves out of the house that she is going to just go crazy in her own space. And here's the boys' room. Now, I was really kind of traditional in sort of, I guess, both of the kids' rooms, in that you have something that's sort of specifically kind of quote unquote girly, and then for the boys something specifically quote unquote boy-like. And I imagine that maybe when they were babies, Briley was very much like sort of gender fluid vibes for their bedrooms, gender neutral vibes, but as they grew up, the kids sort of just gravitated to their own styles. And I would imagine that as Art and Axel grow up, the room will look a little less sort of generic. That especially Art's side of the room is going to have a lot more artistic vibes, a lot more artistic expression. And Axel's side of the room is probably going to feel a little bit more sterile because he's super into science, if he stays into science. And it's going to kind of look like a little bit more of a nerd kind of vibe, that sort of quintessential nerd kind of vibe. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe he's super in the military. I don't know. I spend way too much time thinking about these families, and then I never play with them, so I don't know why I put so much backstory into them. But I guess when I'm building, I like to think about who lives in this space. That way it doesn't feel so sterile and so generic. Another feature to this living space that I loved doing was putting this divider. I feel like in the original house there is like a divider moment, but that's kind of talking about how I wanted this space to kind of flow. I wanted you to be able to stand in the kitchen and look across the entire apartment, but there to be some sort of separation to let you know, okay, this is the kitchen, this is the dining, this space is the little family office, and this space is the living room. Now I'm working on Nathan and Briley's bedroom, and of course when you are a couple and you're sharing a room, in my mind I want it to reflect both of their styles as best as possible. So this room is slightly more toned down, and not as, I guess it's still busy, but not as busy as maybe the living room is. The colors are much more neutral. I will throw up a picture of the inspiration for this bedroom, because once I saw it, it just kind of clicked into place, and the fact that I was able to really pull it out was really cool for me. As you can see, like in that reference photo, there is a black wall. I think the whole bedroom in that photo is black, but I just decided to make the the wall an accent wall, and you'll see it coming up. It's behind the bed. And then just plants galore. That is something with Bohemian style that seems to be really popular. People love plants, bringing in that nature. I will admit, in my personal life, I cannot keep plants alive. So the few plants that I have are all fake. And so those plants. And then I have a cat who loves to eat on my fake plants. So I don't really have that many either. So as you can see, I'm starting to put a little bit more clutter. I tried my best to sort of focus on one room at a time. That way it's not so crazy as far as the editing goes. This feature here was also something that I was really, really proud of. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with this space, and I thought, oh, we'll just put a shelf here and put some more knickknacks on it. So this little shelf has a lot of little fun things on it because I just imagine that, especially before kids, Nathan and Briley were travelers. They traveled all around the world, especially Briley loved to travel because she loved to get inspiration for her art. And then in his, during breaks in summer and that type of thing, I would imagine that Nathan really utilized that time to travel. This was something that I was really proud of, sizing down that base scheme art that sort of leans against the wall and putting it up against the window instead, and putting candles. I tried to put candles in every space, but of course I was in my mind thinking kids live here, probably rambunctious kids live here, so you probably don't want too many candles around the place. But I think the kids would have to have some amount of respect for the home because there's a lot going on in this house, just a lot. And I know it's super busy, but for me that just feels like cozy, like warm and cuddly, just surrounded by fun. Just a fun house where you want to go to. I don't know, I love it. But we are coming up on the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, please let me know by giving me a happy little thumbs up by way of pressing that like button. Comment down below, what do you think of Bohemian style? Does it make you feel warm and cozy, or does it stress you out over the amount of clutter, color, all of that fun stuff? I'd love to get your thoughts. And if you haven't already and you want to see more content from me and you want to be a part of the Selfie family, please, oh please, oh please subscribe. I try to post as much as I can and I would love to have you join us. But as always, my name is Cece and I promise never to break your game. Bye.